All right. Thanks, team. Good morning, everyone. I am really excited to be here with you and just give some answers to lots of questions I've been getting about this Intro to Textures workshop. So first, let me start with, if you haven't met me, I'm Dawn Baja. I am an abstract artist. I love anything and all things abstract. So I don't like to limit myself. And I imagine if you are here too and you're into the abstract, that you probably enjoy that freedom of abstract as well. Meaning, like, we don't like to be put in a box. We don't want to. We're not a paint by numbers person. And nothing against those, like the paint and sit nights and all that. Those are great. I just found that I'm not a good fit for that. I need something that is a little more free to express and lets me go down different pathways if that's what I need to do or I'm curious. So this Intro to Textures workshop is going to start on Monday, the 29th. It's going to be live, but let me tell you a few things about it. And let me just make sure here. Okay, make sure I can see things. Let me tell you a few things about it because I've been getting tons of questions and I want to put people's mind at ease. So it is a live workshop, but here's the beauty of all of that. My artist community, we are from all over the world. So that naturally means that we're going to be in different time zones. And for some of us, you're going to be opposite time zone of where I am just physically. So it makes it virtually impossible to join live. And that is totally okay. That's what I love about this sort of thing. So the way my workshops work is you sign up for the workshop. If you can't make it live, you have access to all the replays and you can watch them at your convenience. I give lifetime access. And I do that simply because it bugs me when I pay for somebody's workshop and they only let me have it for 6 months or a year. My thought is, I paid for that. Like, I should have it as a reference to go back to whenever I want, because who knows? You learn something, and then typically what happens is well after, you're intrigued and you want to go back and check something out or reference notes, and they're not there anymore. So that was one of the things that I was really adamant about when I started teaching, is that all my participants get lifetime access to all the replays. And when you sign up, you will get in that initial letter, that initial welcome letter, you get the PDFs, like the written lesson guides for all the lessons for that entire week. So there's 5 days. You'll get the links to join us live in each day, and they're labeled super clear because that's how I like to learn. I like things like so obvious that like I can't get lost. And then I have the supply list there, but not just the supply list. It's tied to links to where you can actually buy it, because sometimes when these things are new to us, we're like, okay, that's great, but I have no idea like where to get that. So fortunately, a lot of them are available on Amazon. And I do have an Amazon affiliate, but I really don't care if people buy from there. It is the easiest way for me to just make it available as a resource. So if that's you and you're looking and you're like, I don't know, well, they're all there. All you have to do is click on that link and you can get it. And usually the cool thing with Amazon, it arrives like sometimes the next day. So it's not too late to get things for the workshop if you're considering. And you save that initial email because that is going to be your resource, your guide to being able to like access those lifetime replays. It's all there. The same links that you join live are going to be the same links that you can watch the replays on. So it's really kind of cool. And then I do send out morning up reminders just because that's how I like it when I do a class, when I'm taking a class. It just makes it easier for me. So we try to do everything here to make the experience the best, the easiest, the smoothest for anyone who joins us live. And so I want to go through some of the, well, most of the supplies that we're going to be using. But first I'm going to start with some paintings to show you like ideas. Now these are samples. I'm not going to be teaching you to paint the exact same thing that I do. And in fact, this workshop really isn't about making a complete painting. It's about getting you exposed to all these different textures. And I based these textures on things that people would ask me like about. And I know I can't do all of them because there's really an endless amount of textures we can use, but I really feel that we've got a great exposure to textures and I'm going to go through them so you can see. And if you have any ones that you're dying to know about that maybe are not included, leave a comment. Let me know. If there's time, I can add it in. I am all about that. So here's some sample paintings. And while you're looking at these sample paintings, keep in mind, it's going to be, most of them are on these canvas panels, which is one of the supplies that are options for you to do. I always suggest small ones because it's easy for us to work on. We can finish them fast. We get a sense of completion, and it just feels good when you're doing a workshop like that to be able to, see something that's close to finishing so that you can go back and maybe finish it on your own, and it's not so intimidating. So let me go through some of these. All right. The textures are honestly so fun to work with. And let me start with this one here. So, all right, here you go. It's got a bit of a sheen on it, not from the light necessarily. There's a studio light here, but it's more so because it's picking up on the reflective pearlescence paint that I put in there, which is really cool because sometimes, if you notice, I was not trying to paint anything with it. And you can see like there's definite crevices in here, right? And you can see the difference in the textures. And if I tilt it, you could see even more. Now this has texture all over it. And then it's just got paint layered in and different levels of the paint. And so those are not as strongly visible, but you can adjust that when you're creating. But sometimes we want something really bold, a pop of color, but we don't want it to be anything like a real, a concrete, realistic item, right? We want something that is totally modern, totally abstract. And so something like this would look great in a room where you've got white walls. Let's say, for example, if I could paint this picture for you, a modern decor room where you have a lot of neutral colors because you like that, but you want one big, bold pop of color that actually becomes the star of the room. And so if you could picture something like this big on your wall, that would be incredible to bring in a pop of color. And you make it in any color you want. That's the thing. That's totally customizable. All right, now this one is cool. And actually, I'm going to pop over to my other camera here to show you because I don't think it's going to capture as well. So let's slide on over and take a look at this here. Let's see if I can get this light. Give me one sec. Nope, that's worse. Okay, let me just pull it up here. No, that's not working. All right, excuse that. Well, the lighting sometimes isn't the best. I'm going to hold it up here, and I think you can see the textures here. It is made with sand, and I mixed a few things in with it because I wanted the sand to be a bit really malleable, really easy to move around and spread on canvas because sand just characteristically is not, it's very gritty. And so what I did here was just take the sand and mixed it in with some mediums, which we will be using, and paint. And I intentionally did not cover the entire part. Now you'll see there's a painting underneath it. I left pieces of it exposed because I just thought it looked kind of cool. So this is another way you can actually work with the texture. You can cover just about all of a canvas, all of a surface, and it really lends itself to taking canvases that you thought were like ruined and needed to be thrown away and reviving them, like completely reusing them for something new. This type of workshop is perfect for that. So let's take a look. Here's some more textures. Now these are crackle paste up in here, the crackle paste, and molding texture, sand, all of that is in there. And then you add the paint. Here we have some coarse pumice and different also mediums in there. This one is, what is it? It's got plaster, or I'm sorry, modeling paste here. And then there's also desert sand. Can you see that red desert sand in there? And it's very uneven, done on purpose. All right, and those are just some of them. There's two more I want to show you here because just keep in mind, this is limitless, but I've been working on just different paintings to show. So this one is all crackle paste, and it looks really cool because it looks like almost like a dried desert ground. And then I even put in some desert sand here, and it's got paint stained on it. That was fun. This one was made with plaster, and I put organic, other organic textures in here. There's some found items, some twigs, sand, anything is possible. And then this one, I think, oh, okay, yes, we can see it. Let me get that glare going. I can see in my screen over there that the beauty of this one, I think you can see all of this shimmer like right in this area. This is super cool. It's a very subtle texture medium that is reflective, and I didn't even cover it with any paint. You can, but as I was experimenting with it, I loved it like this because I thought, well, it seems like that is the true beauty of its characteristic, is to use it with just the way it is and let it shimmer. So this is glass bead gel. And then I even use a little bit of reflective paint, or I guess technically it's not reflective paint, it's pearl essence paint, or you can use metallic-y like type paint and put it on there just in little spots, and it totally makes it pop even more. But this is something, the cool part of this, it's done on a wood panel, right? So it's just plain wood panel. But like, it's not something, if you're a type of person that loves subtleness and softness, now it's a rough texture, but it gives the appearance of subtle and soft because you can't really see it from far away unless you're getting the perfect angle of reflection in the light. And generally that doesn't happen. It can, but it's not generally what happens. So you have to come close. And when you come close, it's like a little surprise. And the viewer is going to be like, oh, wow, that is really cool. I had no idea all of that was in there. And those are the types of textures that I like to actually go for. So let me show you some of the surfaces. Now you already saw this canvas panel. These are great because they're hard, and if you're going to be scraping and pressing onto things, they are really durable. They're hard. They're inexpensive. You can get 10, 20 packs of these, a small size. It'll get you through the whole workshop. Or you could even actually get watercolor paper. So this is simply, any brand will do. This is a watercolor paper pad, and you can see it's got 30 sheets in here. And take a look, like It's 140 pounds, so it's a nice and thick paper, but it bends, but it's nice and thick, and you can practice on here, and then you just rip it off, let it dry. It will curl up just a bit, but it can be flattened by just laying something heavy on top. And if you want something a little more sturdy, but love paper, generally what I use is something, now this is an old painting, but like you can see this is also watercolor paper, but take a look at this. It is thick. This one is 300-pound watercolor paper. It doesn't really bend on its own, so it's nice and thick. You can buy a big sheet, rip it up into small pieces like this, and have lots to practice on. Then another affordable option is something that we call canvas pads. So these are essentially canvas here. We call it canvas paper. It's not paper. It's these lightweight canvases that they just cut and they attach in a pad. Really great option if you like working on canvas. They're inexpensive, easy to get a hold of. You can buy all this on Amazon or any craft store near you and have a lot to work on. And then of course, there's the old canvas panels, and these are the thinner ones. They are not the highest quality. We can buy them in bulks, so that brings the cost down. And they're great surfaces to practice with. Get a size that you're just comfortable with. But one thing I want to point out with, I think you can see if I angle this enough, do you see how it's like warped here? There are ways that we can get rid of that most of the time, but in some cases, when you get these, like they are not repairable with these types because they're put together so fast by machine, and so nothing is quite perfect. And so sometimes, even despite my best efforts, I can't undo this warpedness right here. But you can cover it with textures, and 99% of the time, you won't know it's there. So if you're making this for yourself and you don't care that it's a thinner canvas, or you've got these lying around and you want to see how far, like, can you take it to the finish line, then this would be a great option to cover with texture and totally hide it. All right, let's take a look at some of the actual texture mediums, because I know that's what everyone's dying to see. Nova Gel, well, a gel medium. I use the brand Nova, but it doesn't have to be that brand. I have links in the supply sheet when you sign up. Any gel medium will work. It's your preference, but this is the standard, like a gel medium. Really, if you don't know anything about it, I used to wonder why everybody was like so into these mediums. And this was as a novice painter, and I had no clue. I'm like, what is the big deal? Like it does nothing until I learned what it does. So, I mean, it's really cool. It's a multi-purpose thing and fundamental when you're working with textures. So traditional textures, let's go through these first. I have glass bead gels, golden, okay? That was what you saw on here. And you can buy them in all different sizes too. The glass bead gels, I believe they come in fine. They come in like medium size, larger size. So these are more of a fine, small glass. It says small glass gel. So it's great. Play around with it. Something else that we use a lot is molding paste. And this is an opaque paste. Really fun. Coarse pumice gel. It kind of has the texture of sand, so it's another option to work with. All of these mediums, here's the big clue. They are mixed in with gloss medium. That is their glue. So you can start to see right away why gloss medium is, or gel medium. Doesn't matter. It could be matte medium, gloss medium. They're both gel mediums. Why it's so important. So crackle paste, okay, is one of the ones that actually surprised me. I didn't think I would like it at all. I don't know why. It was just like a judgment that I had. And I could tell you, though, that, you know, when I made this, what I tried to do is to keep a non-judgmental attitude towards this stuff and just, you know, wait and see. And so it really surprised me when I saw how it came out, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is really cool. So you don't know. You might come in here thinking a certain thing about a texture and feeling completely different about it. And that's the beauty of this kind of workshop. And then there's also clear granular gel, which is very similar to pumice. It's basically a sandy, you know, texture that goes in it. All right, so those are the texture mediums that we'll be working with specifically. Really cool stuff. And then I want to take out these two here. These are what I would call definitely non-traditional. This is plaster, patching plaster, and it's ready mixed. Now you can buy it in bags of the dry powder and mix it yourself, but honestly, you know, I want to get right to the painting and creating, so I buy it already mixed in these plastic tubs. And I want to say it's relatively inexpensive as long as you don't buy it in an art store, okay? We have to learn where to go to get these at the best cost. Definitely get this in a hardware store, a Home Depot, a home improvement store, those sorts of things. So I want to say I paid maybe $7 for this. But I want you to notice, okay, so there's this one here, almost the exact same thing, but this is called lightweight filler. Some of us may know it as spackle, and it's very similar to Bondo that used to be, probably still is used to repair little dents and dings in cars, and can be sanded. So this one is much heavier. This one feels like air. And so you might, you know, we're gonna play around with both of them and see what it feels like to use them and how they look as a finished product and what else we can use them with. So it's a really interesting and cool type of non-traditional thing to work with. And if you've never experimented with that stuff and are kind of like, gosh, I wouldn't know where to begin. What do I do with it? This workshop is perfect for that. We're going to go through all the ins and outs of these and set a foundation of, you know, this is what it does. This is what you should expect. This is the way to use it to get the best result. Now, also, if you don't know me, I am, a lot of my inspiration comes from nature. So I am always bringing Ziploc bags with me wherever I travel. I never know what I'm going to get, you know, from a place that might inspire me. So I will collect sand, different dirt, even water from the ocean. And honestly, it drives my kids crazy because when they're older now, and so they go take their own trips, and I'm like, where are you going? You mind grabbing me a little bit of sand from there? And, you know, I come back and I put them, like, these are all labeled. This is from sand from Utah, that red sand. I just love it. And that is what you saw on, well, actually on both of these. This one here and this one. It's got the red sand in both. And I didn't even paint it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But this sand is such a beautiful color. I actually prefer not to paint it when I can. So you might be gathering ideas of organic textures, because now we're moving into that you could use from wherever you live. And this is beach sand. We used to live in Northern California, so this is beach sand from Northern California. And you know, look at, there's a huge difference in the color, in the grit of the sand, and I use it all. I also have, I like to crush different elements, and these are larger ones, but I'm going to show you all of them actually. see if I could get this. I don't know if you can, okay. So if I tilt this anymore, it might spill, but this is crushed turquoise powder. I'm in the desert. Turquoise is an element here, but you don't have to live in the desert to like be drawn to this. You can use whatever you want. I love bringing in stuff like that and sprinkling it on as an added bonus texture. Here's turquoise, like little turquoise stones. Sometimes I grind them up in a mortar and pestle. Sometimes I just leave them like this. And another thing, like this is very prevalent in Nevada where I live. This is opal. And opal has a bit of a sheen to it. And sometimes I break that up and I throw that in as well. So you don't have to use the exact same textures that I use, or you don't have to even like buy everything ahead of time. What I tell people who are considering a workshop like this is not necessarily a workshop where we go from start to finish making one painting. This is a workshop that's going to be used as a resource, an ongoing resource from you. Whenever you have a question about a texture, oh, let me go back and see what the properties of that texture was that we did in the workshop. And you can revisit it and use those properties and adapt them to what you want to experiment with. So it's going to be an exposure to everything. And we're even going to add in, I'm going to be, you don't have to, just found items. I love to incorporate these along with some other stuff that are more so, I would say, collage type, non-traditional stuff, which I will show in the workshop. But if you are wondering, like, oh, you're the type of person that was like, oh, I have to get every single item to participate. No, not at all. In fact, what I tell people, especially if we're budget minded, is to, you are welcome to just watch the demo on something and then decide later if that's something you want to purchase and play with yourself. Because sometimes we come into a workshop and we're like, I think this is going to be really cool. And then we get to it in the demo and we're like, ooh, I'm really surprised. I did not like that one at all. Not using that again. And then we're like stuck with this product that we spent money on. And then there are other times where we're like, oh man, I wish I bought that. That was so freaking cool. Well, you can, but it's sometimes better to just check out what it does first before you go out and buy it. And that way you know for sure, like, oh, that's a definite yes, or so glad I didn't buy that one. Because that's happened to me. And, we just need to be mindful. So I think I've covered all of the big ones here. And often, what happens is when I'm in my workshop and in my mode of creating in teacher mode, I'll get 3 days into it and my light bulb will go off and I'll be like, oh man, let's demo this today. And so it doesn't mean that you have to go out and buy it or you've missed out. It means, oh, there's a bonus texture that I didn't even consider, and that becomes a part of our resource. So it's really an incredible, and it's going to be available to you on demand once it's finished. Let's talk about some of the tools. Okay, these textures really work much better when you're using a hard type tool and not so much a brush. I'm not saying you can't use a brush, but you're going to see it's harder to work with, and you'll just, it's not like you can move them with a brush. What you'll end up doing is just like making brush marks in it. So if you want to move them and spread them around, now you're going to see, like, I don't have a brush out here. And let me grab a couple of others. So I have so many more, and they, come out in the moment where I'm like, ooh, I should try this. They are on the supply list. but you probably have some already, and you're probably going to be thinking of stuff like your own light bulb's going to be going off in the workshop going, oh, I'm going to grab that and make a mark with it. So this, I believe, is just a spackle tool or a patching plaster. You know, it's metal, it's hard, it's great for spreading. A trowel is also great for spreading. Palette knives, this one's a little bit larger, but that is great. And then I have like stuff that I get, like I think I bought this in an Asian supermarket. I don't know what it does, but I love it. And I'm always looking for non-traditional stuff that I can use, like forks, old knives, old kitchen tools. This is a cake frosting spatula that if you've watched any of my painting videos, this is a must-have, and I can't paint without it. I love it. So it was a great find for me. And it's like, you know, the best stuff in my opinion for I wouldn't even call them non-traditional anymore because they are staples in my studio. But the best tools for making abstract art are things you don't even buy in an art store. That makes it so much better. So my favorite, and then next I would say is probably this and this. If you haven't seen this before, it's a brayer roller, and I love what it does. It adds a very subtle texture, it mixes things up, and it leaves marks in such a way that like you couldn't possibly have done that on purpose. And that is usually what I'm going for when I'm creating art. So there's links to all of these in the supply list where you can get them. Silicone bowl scraper, if you're a baker, you know what these do. And then I just have these wire brushes, or this is not wire, it's plastic, because they make great marks in the different textures, and you just let it dry like that. And then this is also one of my favorites, to press into some of these textures to leave markings. And you can do this with anything. Does not have to be like, you know, this. If you got plastic bubble wrap paper, that's another great thing to use. And all of that, I mean, chances are you probably have a good amount of ideas in your head already of what you can use. So I want to invite you to this workshop as a means of an incredible resource that will help you in so many ways. See, often we get stuck, we get the blahs, we lose our creativity, or we feel like we do. We need renewing of our spirit, and we just need like self-care. So I look at this sort of stuff as self-care, also inspiration, and also a tremendous resource that I can use going forward. So sometimes, you know, we're usually in the middle of a project, but we want to do something after this that is different. And that's where something like this would come in. You'd have exposure to how all of these things work, what surfaces to use, like how we're going to experiment on all these different surfaces, or I'm going to demo it. You can just watch it and then decide which ones you want to experiment with. And then you customize it and adapt it to your process, your colors that speak to you. And I tell you, that's where all the magic is going to come in, because it's going to bring you into the equation. And it's going to make a very personal and customizable piece that honestly I think you're going to love if you create it, like if you go on to actually hang it in your home. Imagine this. So we all want beautiful personal art in our homes. And sometimes, you know, things are out of our budget, or we don't want to buy like a mass-produced print somewhere in these large department stores. We want something more personal. How do we go about doing that? Can I make it? All of that goes in our head. Well, you can actually make this. And I want you to know that this is not the type of workshop that you need to be a professional artist to attend. You can have absolutely no experience and still do an incredible job with something like this. We are going to take textures and play with them, and you're going to start to bring in elements of you. And even if you don't finish a painting in this workshop, which we're going more for what does it do, how can I use it, all of that, you're still going to get to a point where it's like, it's not going to take much to finish this one. That's kind of cool. And you finish it. And so here's what I want to leave you with. Imagine you go on to paint something and you use colors you love. You find a texture here that you think is the coolest thing ever. And you put those two together. You use my method, which I'll get into, of using intentions to create the art, and you make something that you really love. And then you hang it up on the wall. And so if you imagine, first of all, you've got a piece of art that you love up on the wall, and it's like every time you walk in that room, you take a quick peek and you let out a sigh, almost like, love that piece, love it. I love what I feel when I walk by it. It's just like a little bit of a reset, right? But then the next thought that goes through your head is like, oh my gosh, I made that piece. How cool is that? That is what's possible for you in a workshop like this. So if you have a question, leave it in the comments. I'm going to go back over and I'll respond to the questions. But I'm inviting you to come join us. I won't be teaching this for at least another 12 months. So if you're thinking about it, don't miss out. You can have the course. You can do it when it works out in your schedule, and it will be an incredible resource for you. So come join us. The link to join is in the description, and I hope to see you all Monday in the live class. Have a great weekend, everyone.